For Spider-Man fans, Into the Spider-Verse was a non-stop parade of references all revolving around your favorite web-slinger. Here are even more small details and Easter eggs you might have missed in Into the Spider-Verse. And it should go without saying, but we're saying it anyway, swinging Spidey spoilers ahead. Brian Michael Bendis, Sarah Pichelli, and Steve Ditko aren't the only Spider-Man comic book creators to get a shout-out in Into the Spider-Verse. One of the other contacts in Miles' phone is D. Slott, referencing comic book writer Dan Slott, the writer who came up with the concept of the Spider-Verse for the comic books. Meanwhile, Miles walks past a ramen shop called Romita Ramen partway through the film. This is a double shout-out. John Romita Sr. was the artist who took over the art duties on Amazing Spider-Man after original Spidey artist Steve Ditko left the title. He's also the co-creator of Mary Jane Watson, who appears in the film and the original version of the Prowler, Hobie Brown. His son, John Romita Jr., likewise had a long, successful run on Amazing Spider-Man. Into the Spider-Verse is also loaded with visual references to classic comic arcs and character designs. Kingpin dominates the screen whenever he's shown, in an obvious reference to Bill Sienkiewicz's famous portrayal. And when Gwen Stacy's Spider-Woman appears, the cover of her comic makes sure to credit her actual creators, Jason Latour, Robbie Rodriguez, and Rico Renzi. It goes further than just a shout-out, too. Gwen's flashback sequences are washed over in kinetic neon pinks and purples, a perfect replication of colorist Rico Renzi's color scheme in the Spider-Gwen comic. When the various Spider people explore Aunt May's secret spider bunker, you might have noticed a quick shot of the Spider-Mobile on one of the platforms. In the comics, the Spider-Mobile could drive along walls and shoot webbing. It didn't last long as Spidey's vehicle of choice, though. It was quickly thrashed, lost, and, of course, repurposed by a supervillain to try and kill Spider-Man. One of the most subtle Easter eggs in the film comes when Aunt May sees Olivia Octavius and calls her Liv. As the villain told Spider-Man earlier in the film, her enemies call her Doc Ock, but her friends call her Liv. The fact that Aunt May knows and uses Doc Ock's nickname hints at a previous relationship between the two. But what did that relationship look like? Well, if Miles' universe is anything like the regular Marvel universe, chances are that Doc Ock and Aunt may have had a pretty close relationship, like almost getting married. It all happened in Amazing Spider-Man number 131, which featured the 8-armed menace nearly marrying Spidey's aunt in order to claim a nuclear power plant that May received from a recent inheritance. May does seem to have a thing for genius inventors.
It's so hard for me to believe that she's someone's aunt.
Yeah, well, they come in all shapes and sizes, you know.
This walnut date loaf is exceptional.
Let me just stop you there.
Fans were no doubt surprised to see Peter Parker bite the bullet early on in the film. Fans might have been even more surprised when Peter takes off his mask and his hair is blonde instead of the expected brown. That's because the filmmakers are paying tribute to the original duplicate Spider-Man, Ben Reilly. In the comics, Reilly was a clone of Peter Parker, who dyed his hair and changed his name to differentiate himself from the original Peter Parker. While Shamik Moore does an excellent job voicing young Miles Morales in the film, many fans had their hearts set on Donald Glover to portray the young web-slinger. The Atlanta creator was pushed into the Spider spotlight when he half-jokingly campaigned to play the role of Spider-Man in 2010. While the role ultimately went to Andrew Garfield, Glover did voice Miles Morales in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, and he even appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming as Miles' uncle, Aaron Davis.
The other night you told that dude, if you're gonna shoot somebody, shoot me. It's pretty ballsy. I don't want those weapons in this neighborhood. I got a nephew who live here.
Although Mahershala Ali provides the voice for Uncle Aaron in Into the Spider-Verse, the filmmakers found time to acknowledge Glover's various roles in a quick Easter egg. When Miles goes to visit his uncle, eagle-eyed fans can spot Aaron watching a few seconds of Community, specifically Anthropology 101, an episode that features Glover's Troy Barnes waking up in Spider-Man pajamas. Throughout Into the Spider-Verse, Peter B. Parker struggles with the mess he's made of his life. He's sleepwalking through his days and marking the hours with pizza boxes and dirty laundry. His downturn is partly because of his split from Mary Jane, for reasons that aren't explicitly revealed in the film. However, if you pay attention, one reason as to why they broke up becomes apparent. He didn't want kids. It's once again a storyline slightly adjusted from the comic book source material. In the 90s, Peter and MJ almost had a baby before separating for a few years. In the movie, it seems like Peter's pretty staunchly anti-Spider-Baby. However, by the end of the film, Peter takes a moment to wonder if he actually does want kids. In one comic's timeline, he eventually has a daughter with MJ who he names May Parker, and she naturally grows up to be Spider-Girl. If Peter and MJ do get back together following the events of Into the Spider-Verse, we wouldn't be surprised to see May Parker pop up in the sequel, or even in the upcoming Gwen Stacy Spider-Woman spin-off.